realize that our people are in great, great need of would it be for this small we can get and run?
Naleo Napubai. Now I'd like to bring on my beautiful hula dancer, Imua. They're gonna do a beautiful song for you called Hula Omaki, searching for the ship that was lost in the ocean. Huli? Hula Omaki. ladies doing 2 implement song. Imua. The first one they will be using the split bamboo. Huli. Ilalo. Doing Haliakala hula. Imua. Iluna kalamai. Spread out a little. Spread out. Ilalo, Iluna, Hawaiian war chant. I'm gonna call up on the reserve my dancers that just started with me. My old timers are on a vacation. On my far left, we have Mana. Mana, raise your hand. Give her a good big hand. In the middle, we have Kamaili. Great hand. Kamaili, raise your hand. And over here on my right, we have Valerie. In the front, we have Kabehi. And Kamalani. Mahalo. Like I said, this is Na Leo o Na Pu'u Dubai singing for you from the Voices of the Heart. Brother Clifford, bass ukulele. Joaquin on guitar. And Kevin on ukulele be here. We just want to say mahalo nui loa for all we have done for this event. My name is Kumuhula Kanoilani Galiza. I teach at the Asia Pacific Culture Center on Monday and Wednesday at 6 o'clock. So come on by and see what we have to offer. And from our hearts to your hearts, we say a big aloha.
We would like to share with you two pieces of the Royal Ballet. The very first piece is called Robang Bungsun, or greeting dances, to greet the audience and welcome all the audience to have prosperity. And then we would like to end with a blessing.
Food is
dance
ready, everybody, if you want to go get something to eat.
and a blessing.
You'll have
dance.
time. The program starts at 11.
Perfect, sister. So here you go, the very first dance. This particular dance is only performed at the Royal Palace of Cambodia. So ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Robang Bungsung.
Shomya, where are you? Shomya. Shomya, where are you?
What? Give them a round of applause, please. The next piece we would like to present to you is the blessing dance. Bless the audience, bless all the people for peace, prosperity, and good health. classicals and folk dance, please contact APCC. Darade will direct you to us. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Be awake. Good morning, everyone. We greet you in the spirit of the beautiful Pacific Islands. Our Pacific Islands are split into 3 regions: Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. We are Vaipo'oli, and today we're representing the beautiful islands of Samoa and the last remaining kingdom in the Pacific, the mighty kingdom of Tonga, both of which are located in the South Pacific in Polynesia. There is a Samoan saying, "E so'olefau I lefau," which means that a thread can't hold its own. Its strength comes from being interwoven with other threads. In simplest form, unity is strength. And that's exactly what this summit embodies. Coming together to use our voices, our physical presence, and our spirit to speak and be visible to all of Washington State, that we are here, we exist, and though waters separate us, we are a testament that we are one when united. Our opening number is important to us because it talks specifically to our youth. Though it is in Samoan, we believe this speaks for all of Pacifica, and that's to never forget that our foundation is built on God, that to serve your families, honor your parents, never forget who you are, where you come from. You are the future, and always to be proud to be a Tangata Pacifica. For it is these core values are what make up our identities. Thank you for your time. Fatai te lava.
this morning. It's time to get up and get in the mood for our Democracy Summit. I'm going to ask everybody in the audience to kindly take your seats. We're ready to begin our program. My name is Lori Matsukawa. I am a recently retired King 5 journalist, but most of all, I am a proud member of the AANHPI community, and I am so honored to be your MC today. Thank you so much for coming from very far away. Some of you are from very far off parts of our state. We are so happy to have you here. This is our 2024 APIC Democracy Summit. We have a very jam-packed program for you, so I hope you took your vitamins this morning. It is a chance for us to get together and to show our civic, political muscle and pride. I'm very excited to join all of you today. Today, thousands of Asians, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders from around the state have come together for this event to take pride in our traditions, our culture, and our power as a community that is politically and civically active. We have an exciting program that reflects that. We will hear from speakers who are doing important work on the ground. We will get to watch performances that remind us of our culture. I was born and raised in Hawaii, so it was so wonderful to see people from Samoa and the Pacific Rim performing their cultural dances. We will hear from our candidates for governor so that we can better understand the issues that they hold dear and decide who we would like to vote for in November. And make sure to check out the vendors in the back. They have products and information that will help you before you return home. Again, thank you for joining us for what will certainly be an impactful and empowering day of civic engagement. To begin, we will be joined by Susanna Pack for a land acknowledgement. Susanna? Okay, is Susanna Pack here? Well, excuse me. Susanna Pack, stand down. We have yet one final performance. While you're all getting your seats, we have a performance right now by the group from Thai, the Thai community. Okay, and so I'm going to ask their representative to come forward and introduce the Thai community performance to you, and then we will have Susanna Pack.
您在那个斗米里面吗？
On that side, coming towards the stage, we would like you to join us in celebrating this auspicious occasion by clapping and joining us in making joyous noise. lives of dancers who will be entertaining you with the dances representing the 4 regions of Thailand. Thailand has 4 distinct regions. Today, we will present you with the dances of each region. Central is the Grand Temples and Grand Palace. Northern region with its long-standing influences of ancient Lana. Northeastern or Isan region with its stunning national park. And finally, the southern region with its stunning beaches and lush forest. Each dance represents the region's unique cultural and heritage. Central region. With the dance of the Ram Gong Yao, or the dance of the long drums. Representing the north with the fawn tea or umbrella dance. Northeast or Isan is the Hanang Mao or the rainmaking dance. Representing the south is the Rabran Tari Kibat, or the fan dance. Lastly, welcome to Thailand.
Come and fly, happy Thailand.
and thank you ขอบคุณค่ะ
Thailand and representing the Thai culture. You want your phone? Okay. All right, again, welcome, and I'm sorry I jumped the gun, but I'm glad you're all seated now. Again, my name is Lori Matsukawa. I will be your MC for this evening, this afternoon. We want to welcome you to the 2024 APIC Democracy Summit. We're going to hear speakers, we're going to be celebrating cultures, but most importantly, we're going to be celebrating our civic and political power as a community, making our voices heard to our elected officials. So we are very grateful that you made the journey to be here today. To greet us and to start our program, we would like to introduce Susanna Pack, who will give us a land acknowledgement. Susanna.
Thank you. We acknowledge that we are on the traditional homelands of the Puyallup tribe, who have lived on and stewarded these lands since time immemorial. They experienced terrible injustice from the United States and Washington state government, and their empathy led them to offer Japanese Americans a home after the internment camp of World War II. Today, the courageous people of the Puyallup tribe are leaders in the cleanup of the Puyallup River and the protection of the salmon, and are one of the top employers in Pierce County, and donate millions of dollars each year to community organizations. And they invite Pacific Islander youth to be a part of the healing annual Puyallup Youth Canoe Journey. I also want to thank Lua Pritchard, Executive Director of Asia Pacific Cultural Center and APIC Peers, for strengthening our bonds with the Puyallup tribe and so many other community leaders. Thank you, Lua.
Thank you, Susanna. I now want to call up to the stage Michael Bune, co-chair of APIC King County Chapter and Executive Director of Asian Counseling and Referral Service, to share more about APIC and why we are all here today. Please welcome Michael Bune.
Good morning, everyone. All right, before I share some remarks, I want to see who's in the room. So for folks that are coming from the farthest part of our state, Spokane and Yakima, give me a shout. Woo! I can't hear you. Do it one more time. There you go. There you go. So we have Yakima and Spokane. How about our folks from King County? There you go. There you go. How about Snohomish? Oh, wow, that's hard to beat. Now, let's see, how about Pierce County? All right, and the last one in the room is South Puget Sound, Olympia area. Give me a shout out. I can't hear you, one more time. There you go. Well, I know that we are really excited to be here as we have this wonderful opportunity to engage with our elected officials and soon to be elected officials. And so thank you for making time today. I'm going to just say a little bit about Asian Pacific Islander Coalition of Washington State and our community here, this great community here of Asians, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders. Here in the state of Washington, we are 800,000 strong of Asians and 70,000 strong in Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islanders, representing this enormous diversity of ethnicities, languages, and culture. Our traditions, our histories, our stories, and our voices are ingrained in the fabric of this amazing state. Our community is the fastest growing racial group and electorate. And that's important. We have the power to shape the elections in Washington State. Despite that, Asians, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islander voices across the state continue to be marginalized, under-resourced, and often silenced by our current political system. Every day, our community members face structural barriers to participating in our democracy, from language and cultural access, to accessible and affordable pathways to citizenship, to deeply embedded and widespread racism and xenophobia. These obstacles have prevented many of our community members, especially those on the margins, from being able to access the services and resources they need and deserve. Over the past few years, we have experienced challenges in so many ways. We have the pandemic that impacted our health and our economic stability of our communities. And post-pandemic recovery hasn't been great for everyone, especially our small businesses. We also see a rise in anti-Asian hate and racism that threatens the safeties, especially among our elders and neighbors. And the growing gentrification and displacement in cities because it's getting much more and more expensive. Despite all these challenges that I've all shared out with you, there are some things that we should hold dear. One is that our communities are powerful, right? Can I hear it again? Are we powerful? There you go. Today, we honor our resilience and our resistance. Our communities have survived war, migration. We have navigated structures and systems that were not built for us. And amongst of all, we have rise together with our families, started organizations, elected officials, and created our support network. And I can't stress enough, there's so much within ourselves, our communities and ourselves, that we have the solutions to our community's needs, to address our community's needs. Second, we know that when we come together to demand what we deserve from our political process and elected officials, we have the power to win. We know that when we are collectively participating in our political process, we can have leaders and policies that represent our needs and wants. We know that when we participate in this electoral process, we are taking responsibility for the community we want to live in. And it will take all of us. APIC itself was founded in the mid-90s during the federal welfare reform conversations that stripped many of those resources and services for our communities, especially our non-citizen members, from federal public services and assistance. Our community leaders across the state of Washington came together to form this coalition and to lobby and advocate for our elected officials to address these concerns and to make sure that there are funding set aside to support our communities. And some important wins to remember why we are here today include support and assistance around naturalization services so that more and more of our community members have the opportunity to become citizens. We've also provided advocacy to secure resources to support career pathways for those who are limited English proficient. And I think those two critical things we accomplished together in the early 90s is something that we need to continue to remember in terms of our power and our strength. 2024 is a big election year, and we are voting for our next president, we are voting for our new governor, we are voting for our state representatives and senators, and we are voting on important ballot initiatives that impact our lives. These decisions could determine how our tax dollars are spent and if and how our community centers get resourced, which services and benefits our immigrants and refugee communities receive and access to, and much more. So make sure, if you haven't yet, make sure if you're eligible to vote in November. It is really important. Your voice counts, your vote counts. And please take responsibility to support your community and your family members and others around you who are not registered, to encourage them and to support them in registering to vote. And as for those who are motivated today, who are not registered to vote, there is an opportunity over there in the back. There are booths available where you can register today to be able to vote during the November elections. With that, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to ask our APIC coalition chairs from the different regions to come up to the stage. So please come up to the stage. Let's give them a warm round of applause and give them a lot of love. And Lori has a quick announcement while the rest of the chairs come up.
All right, as the chairs join us here on stage, I'm going to ask the people who are participating in the greetings, all you greeters, could you please stand by on the stage, this side of the stage here? Come on up to this side of the stage, greeters. Thank you.
Yes. No, wait.
All right, so let's go ahead and start with our King County co-chairs, Ren Wheeler and Shomya Tripathi. Raise your hand. Our East King County chapter chair is unable to be here due to family obligation, but they are well represented. But I do want to acknowledge Lalita Upala, who's our East King County chair. We have Pierce County Chair Lua Pritchard. We have Snohomish APIC Chair Vanden Kuno. And we have one of the co-chairs from the South Puget Sound APIC chapter, Brian Locke. And the other who is unable to be here is Lynn Crawley. So let's give her also a round of applause. We have Spokane APIC chapter, who also go by the Asians for Collective Liberation, Ryan Louie. And the other co-chair of that chapter is Sarah Dixon, who is not available today. All right. And then last but not least, our Yakima folks. I know that Paul Tabayayon, the chair, is unable to be here, but I know Yakima is represented. Let's give them a round of applause. So as I just took a moment to introduce our chairs, I think what's really important to acknowledge is our chairs help to support the chapters and all the incredible people within those chapters. So I want you to give yourselves a round of applause for being here. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Lua, who's going to do some additional recognitions, especially about our elected officials. Thank you very much.
And ladies and gentlemen, one of King County chairs was the speaker just now. Give Michael Bian a big hand of applause. Well, we are very, 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 very happy. I see some greeters on that side. All greeters are here. Please come to this side. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are so fortunate to have leaders who are elected officials in many different aspects of our government and our communities, and they have made time to be here because of you. So give them a nice big welcome hand of applause. Big hand of applause. People, scream it out. That's right. They could be somewhere else and busy in their offices, but they're here for us. So today we are so very happy to have our brother, State Senator Bob Hasagawa, District 11. Give him a nice big hand. Thank you, Bob, for being here. And with him is Sister Carrie Louise. Thank you, Sister Carrie Louise, for being with us. And our sister, of course, none other than the city mayor of Tacoma, Victoria Woodard. Give her a nice big hand of applause. You know, she's supposed to be somewhere else right now, but she secretly came here first. That's wonderful. Pierce County Council member Jenny Hitchin is here. Tacoma City Council member Sandesh Saldash is here. Lakewood City Council member Michael Brandstetter is here. City of Fife Deputy Mayor Brian Yemby is here. Pierce County Council Member Robin Denson is here. Lisa Kitting, Board of Directors, Tacoma Public Schools is here. Peter Kwan, CTAC, City Council Member is here. John Cummings, Pro Tem Judge, Lakewood Municipal Court is here. And we have Hiro Tojo, Political Affairs Consulate of Japan is here. Ingrid McLeod, Pierce County Superior Court Commissioner is here. Yes. And we are so very fortunate to have these here, but there are more coming. They'll be here a little later. But please give them a nice big hand of applause. Thank you, our dear friends who are here for our community.
Thank you, Lua, and thank you to our representatives, elected and appointed. Thank you for joining us today. Next on our program is what we love to call our multilingual greeting. One of the most incredible parts of this Democracy Summit is how many diverse communities are in the room. I mean, just look at the signage right here. These are just some of the different ethnic groups, cultural groups that are represented by the large umbrella called AANHPI. We have many different languages here. One of the goals of the Asian and Pacific Islander Coalition is to ensure that we continue to uplift and embrace the diversity of this community that is often thought of as monolithic, but we know it's not. We would like to extend a welcome with our multilingual greeters.
Ripsu. I am with the Refugee and Immigrant Services. And I do speak Cambodian. I'm glad to be here. And thanks for the opportunity to be here. Thank you. Everyone, please have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I am An Phạm. I represent Immigration Office in Snohomish County. I'm coming here for represent for Vietnamese language. Welcome everyone coming to the APIC Democracy Summit. We are here today for celebrate for our countries, our community power, and remember that we are here stronger together. Yeah, remember you are a boy and in welcome up election November 5. Xin chào, tôi tên An Phạm, tôi là đại diện cho ngôn ngữ Vietnamese. Chào mừng mọi người đến với hội nghị APIC thượng đỉnh APIC 2024. Chúng tôi đến đây hôm nay để tôn vinh sức mạnh của cộng đồng và hãy nhớ rằng chúng ta mạnh mẽ khi chúng ta ở bên nhau. Hãy nhớ sử dụng tiếng nói của mình và bỏ phiếu cho mọi người trong ngày bầu cử sắp tới ngày 5 tháng 11 2024. Xin chào. Thank you.
Speak Mandarin Chinese. 大家好，我的名字是戴婷如。嗨，很荣幸代表用华语来欢迎大家参加2024年 APIC 所举办的民主高峰会。让我们在此一起庆祝社群强大的凝聚力，团结就是力量。请务必记得在11月5日即将举行的选举中投下您神圣的一票。Thank you.
Talofa. Olo moa o maupo mele. Ua whaiau masui o Samoa. Mātou te whawhiroa i atu aile. Ne nei whalapo tatonga. Democracy Summit 2024. Ua tātou mai whatasi nei aso e whamanatu le tā ua tele o le malosianga o a ai. Ma whamanatu pēr tātou te malolosi whatasi pēr tātou ngānu lue whatasi. Mantua whaongalo leo alo whailau pālota i a Novemba aso 5 soifua whaftai.
Rerenim, idei tarseriafkas, nang mawisa tukuri fosenju. Kabasare tiati ngedi ami medicine ngedi rumor APIC Summit, APIC Democracy Summit. आज जो फंगरी करे राजपा पाया सिरी आज के कम्युनिटी कोई आज बच्चों को रेराचेंग फंगन Cecemeri orang mata mengungu berfirata nari dari November 5 kini show cabut.
سلام برای همه نام و تمرس نماینده زبان دری و شما را خوش آمدید میگم به جلسه اپیک 2024 و ما اینجا جمع شده ایم به خاطر که به قدرت جامعه خود را جشن بگیریم. اگر ما با هم باشیم قوی تر می باشیم و لطفا فراموش نکنید در انتخابات نوامبر 5 رای دهید. تشکر.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम शनीला थॉमस है। मैं उर्दू ज़ुबान में नुमाइंदगी कर रही हूँ। आप सबको खुशामदीद है एपिक 2024 जमहूरी अजलास में। अपनी आवाज़ का इस्तेमाल करना मत भूलिएगा। 5 नवंबर के इलेक्शन में हम सब एक साथ मजबूत हैं और हम सब एक साथ मिलके इस जगह को और इस माहौल को फ़र्क मना सकते हैं। शुक्रिया।
नमस्कार, मेरा नाम नंदा तिवारी है और मैं हिंदी भाषा का प्रतिनिधित्व कर रही हूँ। 2024 के एपिक लोकतंत्र शिखर सम्मेलन में आप सबका स्वागत है। हम आज यहाँ अपने समुदाय की शक्ति का जश्न मनाने और यह याद रखने के लिए एकत्रित हैं कि हम एक साथ मिलकर अधिक ताकतवर हैं। 5 नवंबर को होने वाले आगामी चुनाव में अपनी आवाज़ का इस्तेमाल करना और वोट देना ना भूलें। नमस्कार।
Mabuhay! Ang pangalan ko ay Maricris Valdez Castro at ako ay kumakatawan sa wikang Tagalog mula sa Republika ng Pilipinas. Maligayang pagdating sa 2024 APIC Democracy Summit. Nandito tayo ngayon para ipagdiwang ang kapangyarihan ng ating komunidad at alalahanin na tayo ay mas malakas na magkasama. Tandaan na gamitin ang iyong boses at bumoto sa dadating na halalan sa ika-5 ng Nobyembre. Maraming salamat sa inyo po at God bless. Thank you.
Yakoy ulit. Yakayin Christina Jibugay. Ichudat kan kaying madaw. Kalabang ruwainin niya ng roto yung rongole minepek democracy summitin. Itperin rainin ng kakainin kayor. Inchuan chugujugan per. Imauragin kayor wudwur. Kemi mijim kalo kayo nigiyam. Em kaman kaya bewang hilo. Yakailelin hilo. Ma nobang pawali. Kumualta.
안녕하세요. 한국어를 대표하여 나온 살리 캔들입니다. 2024년 에픽 민주주의 정상회담에 자리에 오신 모든 분들을 환영합니다. 오늘 우리는 우리 지역의 공동체의 힘을 확인하고 또 우리가 하는데 힘을 뭉칠 때 얼마나 더 강해질 수 있는지 그것을 기억하려고 이 자리에 왔습니다. 그러기 위해서 다가오는 선거일에 반드시 모든 분들이 기억하시고 선거장에 나가셔서 투표를 하시기 바랍니다. 우리의 소리가 그 힘을 발할 수 있는 것은 선거를 통하여서 투표를 하였을 때 우리의 힘이 강하게 나타날 수 있습니다. 그래서 모두 선거일을 기억하시고 나가서 투표하시기를 바랍니다. 감사합니다.
Hello, good morning. My name is Mei Sing Chao. I'm from Asian Counseling and Referral Service. I'm representing Mien culture and Mien language. And thank you for the opportunity for me to come together to celebrate our community power together. So from now I'm going to speak in Mien. Lén chinh Mien bố tỏi bố chung Mien bố tỏi lén chinh bố tông hiếu nhé sẽ chân đúng tỏi tại cấp chung tỏi tại bố mảng cá đi nhiều bố tông hiếu nhé bố cấp chân tông hiếu tông bố mảng cá hát tao hay thỉnh tu bố tiền hoài giang kiên đơn ship ad văn thi hà bố chủ chân mình kiên ok tông hiện năm hoài bố chủ chân mình kiên bố kiên đảng tại yam tại nhung lén chinh bố tông hiếu dạ ý tông bố mà tại chăm hồ này bố ya mai bèn mà làm hun tu xuất nhé mà chơi quả phun chủ đúng nhé lỗ miền to là hải bằng bố quảng dân sĩ chân bên cháu tài là muốn sẽ tiếng bố gan tài là tiếng bây giờ trung học cha là trình sáng hồ là trình xăm.
Nhớ rằng cụ lâm tê ở chiều mùa cụ sở kế từ bê hải nền hông cho kia nấy tua cho lưu APIC Democracy Summit hiong áp hạ nền gốc lâu nếu nào lưu công tranh ở trong bên kia有被施工被有摸着查yon rong shi có lưu xóa thiết bom bả trong lưu địa chỉ lưu cầu ý lý ở trong
Today from Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands, where America's day begins. Waho si Joel Ermer, who representa Ilengguahim Samoro. Kofmakov agagiham gwini, iestinailen 2024 APIC Democracy Summit. Ago gagiham gwini para ta celebra iminetgut I komunidad zan para ta hasu na minetgut ham anay uno here. Hasso este, usay bosmo zan bota gi November 5. Sana maasi.
Hello everyone สวัสดีค่ะสวัสดีค่ะชื่อวริยาทอสที่นะคะก็เป็นตัวแทนของคนไทยที่อยู่ที่นี่นะคะก็ยินดีต้อนรับทุกคนนะคะที่มาร่วมงาน APIC Democracy Summit 2024 วันนี้พวกเราได้มาโชว์พลังความสามารถความสามัคคีเป็นหนึ่งเดียวนะคะและอย่าลืมไปใช้สิทธิ์เลือกตั้งออกเสียงนะคะวันที่ 5 พฤศจิกายนนี้นะคะก็ขอบคุณทุกท่านค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
Hi everyone, my name is Jason. I'm from Olympia Area Chinese Association. I'm presenting Cantonese language. 大家好，我名叫 Jason， 我係代表粵語語言，歡迎大家嚟到2024年 APIC 民主高峰會。今日我哋齊聚一堂，係為咗慶祝我哋社區嘅力量，亦都要記住我哋華人要團結一致，記住嚟緊喺11月5號選舉中用你嘅聲音去投票。多謝。
บายดีข้าพเจ้าซึ่งสมประสงค์แก้วหาวงมาต่างประชาชนลาวอเมริกันเขาแล้วก็มาจากทางองค์การ Asian Counseling อันอยากเล่าให้พี่น้องทราบว่าแสดงความดีใจน้ำลายในทุกคนมาร่วมในรายการชุมนุมมีสิทธิ์เสียงเลือกตั้งเกี่ยวกับประชาธิปไตยจังสั้นยาสุลืมให้ทานได้ไปปอนบัตรเลือกตั้งน้ำเพิ่นแน่มือเดือนโนเวมเบอร์วันที่5เนาะ November 5th please don't forget to vote ขอบใจ
Oh, wow. Thank you so much to all of our greeters. And note to myself, I want a headdress like that woman had from Thailand for Christmas. I'm going to make a note of that. A little housekeeping. We have a phone up here on the podium, so I'm going to give it to staff at the VIP table. If you can describe the phone, you can have it back. Otherwise, it's mine. And we'd like to greet some of our elected officials who have since joined us. State Representative Charlotte Mena from District Number 29. Please stand. Wait, there she is. City of Tacoma Council Member Joe Bushnell. Thank you, Joe. And from the Renton City Council, Kim Khan Van. Yay, Kim. Also, Pierce County Superior Court Judge Tatisha Davis. Tatisha, thank you for being here. State Representative Jake Fay, District 27. Thank you, Jake. Former State Representative Art Wong. Nice to have you here, Art. Where are you? He's a tall guy. You can't miss him. And finally, Pierce County Superior Court Commissioner Doris Walker. Thank you, Doris. So many folks representing our elected systems. We want to show them the kind of representation we have here in the community, that we're active, we're engaged, we're interested in this very important election year. I had the pleasure earlier, a few years ago, of meeting one of these young performers that you're going to see right now. Troy Osaki is a spoken word artist that you really have to hear and see. Today, Troy is going to be performing along with Frankie Wico. Please welcome Troy Osaki and Frankie Wico.
Hello. All right, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing today? Okay, beautiful. My name is Troy and I'm here with Frankie. Thank you to our wonderful tech. Can we give it up for tech? I don't know, I don't think it's a plug-in. Okay, as we're getting set up, I'll do a quick introduction. Frankie and I are really excited to be here with you all today. We'll be sharing some music and poetry, both our families are from the Philippines. Shout out any Filipinos in the room. And they came here to the U.S., right, searching for opportunity. And similar to many Filipinos and migrants, they came here, right, and continue to face immense hardship. But even in the face of it all, they work to make change in both big and small ways, including grassroots, community organizing and participating in electoral politics. Frankie and I recognize we're in a very important moment right now with election season, and are similarly working to be involved in our communities. One of the ways we're doing that is through a platform called the Filipino American Agenda, which is gathering the issues of Filipinos in our communities to be raised to elected officials. It's being pushed forward by the National Alliance for Filipino Concerns. That my nonprofit is a part of the Filipino Community Health Board, and also includes grassroots efforts like Frankie's Workplace, where Filipino migrant workers are organizing for a dignified livelihood. So yeah, a little bit about us, and then I'll hand it to Frankie.
Troy and I's art and our set today is really reflective of the conditions of our overseas kababayan, our overseas Filipinos. So we also hope that as you listen, you see yourselves and your families in our art and feel inspired after today to really take action in your communities, your workplaces, your churches, wherever your people are. But we're so excited to share this set with you today, and thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. Should we test it just
Can everybody hear guitar? Thank you for your patience. Can everybody hear the guitar, okay? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear the guitar? Okay, is that better? Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Ooh, we're getting the pause real quick. Are there Filipinos in the room? Let's go. Okay. Oh, hello, hi.
It's so good to see you.
Kababayan.
This is for you.
Okay, yeah.
This is for you guys.
Yeah, I am. Okay, go ahead and strong.
Are we ready? Ready for that?
You can pull the microphone in front of you.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do it that way.
My history is a layover in Guam, sharing a candy bar with another kid. It's free ESL classes at the library, nightly cries from my dad. My history is crispy rice scraped from the bottom of the pan, the backyard where the rooster won't stop yelling. My history is under my logo's electric blankets. It's the video chat with all the family I never met. It's me and my mother, packed in a small room like sardines. My history is moving from hotel to hotel because we needed a place to stay.
Ako'y walang hinihiling sadyang biglang laya ang isa't isa.
In the Philippines, we abolish goodbye parties for Filipinos who don't want to leave, become overseas Filipinos. Every colonizer wants to be remembered. See our country, whose name is a Spanish king's name, Philip in Filipino. The smell of mine dirt is gone. Chevron swims back to America weeping. We watch, laughing, us Filipinos. In a monsoon, we bring Andres Bonifacio's glowing bones to a sugar plantation. There, an army of peasant Filipinos, their first 53 years spent lovingly, burying piles of landlords. Every bloomed mango belongs to a farming Filipino. My grandpa left and didn't come back. Years later, I lay in the river he washed in, my body, like his, Filipino. His last name is my middle name, Verzosa, Spanish, as am I, and millions of breathing Filipinos.
At habang malayo, papalapit pa rin ang puso, kahit na makahiwalay, tayo'y makasama sa magkabilang dulo ng mundo.
Every Filipino belongs to the Philippines. All of us, everywhere. The fry cook at Jollibee in South Center Mall. The grocery bagger at Seafood City next door. The custodian mopping the floor in Suzzalo or Odegaard at the University of Washington. The caregiver unfolding a wheelchair in Linwood. The cashier at Goodwill off Dearborn. The ground crew at SeaTac airports. The child care provider driving a minivan on a Navy base in Oak Harbor or Bremerton or Silverdale. The housekeeper at Swedish Hospital. The seafarer docked in Portland or Tacoma or floating in the Pacific, his face cold enough almost to disappear. Everywhere our people are overseas is a place we want our people back from. Apartments, hotel rooms, homestays. Everywhere our people package a prayer inside a bullock buy-in box, wedge it between instant coffees and bars of soap, a whole church bell and cans of Spam too. Everywhere our people mail 1 million envelopes of remittances from, stamps stuck crookedly to the corner of each one. Everywhere, our people's employers lock their passports away in a private safe, their monthly wages stolen, debt the size of shipping containers. Everywhere, our people are trafficked. We want them back. And we want a country to come home to.
There's a war in the Philippines, schemes, puppet regimes, fueled by gore and the killing sprees. Foreign entities exert their lethal schemes overseas, and so we serve the people and striving for peace. I say long live the revolution in the Philippines, to rid the three basic problems of our society. We got a movement continuing on the legacy of the Katipunan, so we fight to be free. Screaming ang tao, ang bayan, ngayon ay lumalaban. Mga mabubuking at mga gawa, the masses in action, taking their own stand. Take a stand, make a plan to defend the homeland. I do this for my ancestors, the mothers and the brothers and my brown sisters, the lovers that are wasn't taught our own history. For those that came before me, I do this for my ancestors. I do this for my ancestors. And we will win in this lifetime, so I'll see y'all in the next one. I just ask you for some protection and I send love to you and your ascension. Rise up for the migrants, for the nurses, for the teachers, for the youth and for the workers, for the peasants, for the elders, the students. We do this for the movement, for our revolution, for spirits calling to us through guidance. We're living through them and through it. Yeah, in the land in which we're rooted, because people's power is stronger than their own that they're refusing. I do this for my ancestors, my mothers and my brothers and my brown sisters, the lovers that know us and taught our own history. For those that came before me, I do this for my ancestors. I do this for my ancestors.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Awesome. We would like to also say welcome and hello to several other guests that have since joined us. Former State Representative Brian Ebersol. Brian, hello, where are you? There you are. Nice to see you again. Also, State Representative Kelly Chambers. Kelly, hello, hello. Also in our audience today, Kimberly Chinomso, Miss Oregon World America. Kimberly, so wonderful to have. Where are you? Kimberly, where are you? Wave. Okay. All right, if you're sitting next to her, shake her hand. That's a very high honor, Miss Oregon World America, Kimberly Chinomso. Also, Nam Nguyen, Executive Director of the Commission for Asian Pacific American Affairs. Hello, Nam. Okay, Kim, you're in the back of the room. Where are you? Oh, here she is. So just come right here, wave at your audience. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Kimberly Chinomso, Miss Oregon World America. Thanks so much for joining us. Excellent, excellent. Our speaker now is Manofu Liaiga Anuai. Manufo is a first-generation Samoan American from San Francisco. She is a dedicated public servant, first elected to the Jefferson Elementary School District Governing Board in 2015, where she is currently still a board trustee. Thank you for your service. Additionally, she serves as a commissioner on the City of Daly City Personnel Board and holds positions on several other boards and commissions. Manufo is a fierce advocate for equity, inclusion, and access, and passionate about supporting the leadership and development of women in politics. Very important. We are grateful to have Manufo with us today as our first keynote speaker. Please welcome Manofu Liaiga Anuai.
You can do better than that. How's everyone doing? That was an electrifying, modified spoken word. If you didn't feel that, I suggest you see a cardiologist to make sure that your heart is ticking the right way. What a way to set the stage for me to be able to join community leaders from different walks of life, to be able to share my story by way of both Samoas, now from the San Francisco Bay Area. Talofa and greetings. And I would be remiss if I didn't share a welcoming greeting of gratitude in my native tongue. O te muai whatulawatu I paia malmamalu o Samoa Poto. Asi o watunu e pele I le wanganga. E mamae e mamanu I ai le tautua. E ai le langi laufie. Al paia o le au whainga ruenga tutofia le tua. O sama whainga e tungumau. E o I le whaavavau. Tulou na lava. O te tūlai ma le awa tele e te tauai. Again, greetings by way of the San Francisco Bay Area. I am deeply honored to be able to share remarks of my story and my pathway to civic leadership and community engagement. But I would first like to thank APIC, ACRS, APCC, Sister Lua, Sister Shamya, for this opportunity, because it is a rarity to have the likes of a brown girl sit in seats of decision making. So I'm deeply honored to share a story that is all too rare. My name is Papali Manufo Liainga Anoa'i, and my first name is my mother's name, which means new beginnings. And I believe that that's the energy that we are embracing today as we are coming together in solidarity to get out the vote to ensure that our AA NHPI communities move that needle to put people in seats that look like us, that think like us, that represent us. Born to immigrant parents from both Samoas, my foundation was deeply rooted in faith, family, and community. At a very young age, my parents understood the importance and the power and the value of representation, especially from a lens of invisibility. My path to civic leadership was not mapped out for me, like my fellow colleagues at my university and my former high school. But my mother, a high chief, a female from her family in a small island called Savai'i, encouraged me to be bold and to speak up in moments of injustice and adversity. And my father, a lay preacher from Lauli'i and Ta'umanua, guided me in being compassionate and to understand the value and the humanity in meeting people where they're at, walking with people and learning their stories, all people who eventually became my people. As the first Samoan in my generation in the San Francisco Bay Area to sit in leadership tables in student government, from elementary to high school, becoming the first Samoan to serve as a class president at Lowell High School, and through college serving as student government president, leading protests, adding a San Francisco flair to the territory of American Samoa, and then returning to the Bay Area and becoming a mayoral aide, and I'm told the first and only Samoan aide to a mayor of San Francisco, my former boss, Mayor Willie Brown Jr. The word first continues to be triggering for me because I know that I carry the responsibility to ensure that there will be a second, a third, and many more to follow me. So my job is to continue to keep the ladder down and the door open for all that wish to follow this path of leadership and calling. I share my story because my story is not my own. My story belongs to all of you. As we prepare for the November election, we need to do more than just registering our people to vote. We need to make sure that our votes reach the ballot box. We need to make sure that the likes of you and mine, my brown skin, the communities that we come from, the way that we think, the generational wealth that we sit with, does not sit in silence. It takes all of us to make sure that our voices are felt, that our voices are heard, and that we are seen and visible. I am tired of being told I am the only one from my community serving in seats in California. They continue to appoint me to commissions. They continue to vote me into seats that have me sitting isolated like the island that I come from. We can't continue to do this alone. That is why we rely on the allies in our AA community to stand tall with us as a unified front to ensure that it's a collective effort, that we make a collective impact, and that we continue to make a difference and move the needle this November election. My lived experiences, like yours, have shaped the way I see things, have shaped my legislative outlook. I have been fortunate to institute policies that have given insight that my colleagues on the dais have no clue. I am able to bring a perspective from our marginalized populations, homelessness, those who sit in adversity, unable to access equitably, with dignity, healthcare, and services, that they are allowed to live a level of humanity that is missing in our society today. My story is one that I hope will continue to resonate with our young generation. It is your time. It is your time to step up and step into the examples that have courageously been pathed by the elders before you, such as my sister, Laura Pritchard. I want to thank her because we need to give people their flowers when they're still with us, not after. We need to do better to promote the leaders that make a difference in our communities. And then we need to emulate their examples that continue to open the doors for us to walk through. When I had sat in a seat of being elected for 10 years, I sat back and was tapped to run for city council. I had sought an endorsement of a San Mateo County official, and her words to me were, "Wow, I didn't think you aspired to be more." Those words fuel me today, to ensure that people that look like me, that come from my community, that come from my neighborhoods, are able to sit in seats that represent all of our people. The decisions that make sure that they are made by people like us, that we are impacted to create the change that we seek. I am so grateful for the opportunities that I've been afforded, but I know my calling, and my calling is to continue to do the work and to tap and mentor young leaders to be able to step up and build that pipeline for all of us to continue to see the work thrive and grow. I want to thank the community here in Washington. We have so much to learn from you in California, a state where many see as a melting pot that embraces unity, diversity. But the reality is, being able to convene gatherings like today truly is not something we've been able to do. So I leave here today to return to the Bay Area with the hopes that I too can replicate the great work that is happening here in Washington. I want to thank all of you who continue to grind, give up your days and nights to ensure that those of us that aren't able to vote, those of us that aren't able to share public comment out of fear at our council meetings at the state level, that you will carry their voices for them. It is our responsibility to do that. I am deeply honored as a Samoan woman to be able to represent my people in the circles that I've been able to make an impact. Woo! My hope is that I am not the last. My door is always open. I pray that I have the opportunity to work collectively, collaboratively with many of you in this room today. May we come together. May we continue to empower others. May we make a difference. May we be vocal. May we be visible. May we be relevant this coming election and beyond. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the opportunity to share my voice with you today. Soy Fua, Maia Manuia, and get out and vote.
Fantastic. Please, another round of applause for Manufo Viaga Anoai. Thank you for coming all the way from California to join us here today. She's back on a plane, flying back, but thank you, thank you. This shows the dedication and her passion for what she has just shared with you. The meaning of her service is she does not want to be the last. She is perhaps the first, but she will not be the last. She wants everyone to join her in this very important mission, being heard and being part of the American dream. Thank you again, Manufo. We have a little bit of entertainment for you right now. And while our group is getting ready, I wanted to acknowledge other people who have joined us. From the Port of Tacoma Board, Chairman Kristen Ong. Kristen, thank you for being here. From the City of University Place, the council members, Melanie Grassi. Melanie, hi, way bigger, there you go. And Denise McCluskey. Denise is here too. I already mentioned Art Wong, our former state rep, but Art was getting food when I introduced him, so Art, can you wave now? Okay, there's Art. State Representative Sharon Tomiko Santos. Sharon's in the house, here we go. And I mentioned her earlier, but I may have misspoken. City of Renton Council Member Kim Khan Van. Okay, and we now have 2 misplaced cell phones that have been found. You can claim them if you can describe them at our VIP table over here on that side. Okay. So, time to maybe get the juices going, maybe stand a little bit and rock and roll with our next performers. These are folks from a wonderful group representing the island of Tahiti. Are we ready? Almost? Okay, oh, they're ready, okay. Everybody get ready to loosen up and get with the beat with Keliko Aeo Leilehua e Kapua Okalani.
To be here, we have a few dancers willing to be to the island of Tahiti. Yoram Natato, we are Halahula Keliko Aeo Leilehua e Kapua Okalani. I am the Kumuhula Atira of our group, and we teach right at the Asia Pacific Culture Center every Tuesday from 7 to 9. We're up in Kent and Olympia as our group has expanded into those 3 different cities. We're going to open up with the hip basics first with our 3 vahine. Bye. Hey. Let's be. Oh yeah. Let's eat. Maya, whoa. At this time, I'm going to have my younger daughter close off our Tahitian segment. She's going to be competing in the Orenoi Tahitian competition next month in a couple weeks as an advanced dancer, and we have about 6 other dancers, and she's going to share a little bit of what she's been working on these past few months of hardcore training. This is my younger daughter, Ti Amele. Malu Rumaiva, we are Halahula Kilikuai Olilihu. Kapua Kalani. Mahalo and Marudu for having us this evening and this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of the festivities and all the other cultures to come perform. Malu.
For Keliko Aeo, Lele Hua Kapua Mokomani. Wow, and good luck in the competition. Fantastic. Our next speaker is a next generation labor leader, an award-winning organizer, author, and a leading voice in the women's movement. She is the president of the National Domestic Workers Alliance, executive director of Caring Across Generations, and a trustee of the Ford Foundation. Boy, does she ever sleep. Our next speaker is a nationally recognized expert on the care economy. Many of us know what this is. You are caring for someone who is younger, someone who is older, and people in between. She is the author of the celebrated book, The Age of Dignity, Preparing for the Elder Boom in a Changing America. Please welcome our speaker, Ai Jem Hu. Hello, APIC! Thank you so much to the Asian Pacific Islander Coalition of Washington for inviting me to be a part of this year's Democracy Summit. I'm so excited to be with my AA and NHPI community. I feel like the full beauty of our community is on display today, and it's giving me so much life. A little bit about me is that I was raised in an intergenerational household with my grandparents, and the values and the lessons that they taught me have really paved the way for me. They've set me on my path today. Listen more than you speak. Give more than you receive. Don't complain, fix it. And laugh from your belly at least 3 times a day. Since 1998, I've been organizing with domestic workers, the people, mostly women, who work inside of our homes as nannies, house cleaners, home care workers. They ensure that working parents can go to their jobs. They support the development of the potential in our children. They support a dignified quality of life for our aging and disabled loved ones. And this is necessary, life-sustaining work. And yet it's some of the most undervalued and insecure work in our entire economy. More than 90% women, majority women of color, many of them AA and NHPI, women and immigrants. Domestic workers were excluded from our nation's labor laws when they were first established in the 1930s, and that has set an imprint for how we treat this work. Today, to this very day, the work is poverty wage work with no health benefits, no job security, no paid time off, no safety net, and very little power to negotiate. So for me, I started organizing 26 years ago when I met Filipina nannies in the parks and the playgrounds of Manhattan, and I listened to their stories about having to leave their home countries to work as caregivers for other people's families in order to send money back home. And when I asked them if they wanted to organize, if they wanted to break out of the isolation of this work, they immediately knew the power of coming together. And so in 1998, we formed a committee of Filipina domestic workers in New York that was a part of the Committee Against Anti-Asian Violence. And then in 2000, we launched Domestic Workers United, the nation's first multiracial domestic workers association. And together we decided that we wanted to do something to address the lack of protections for domestic workers, and we launched a statewide campaign to win a domestic workers' Bill of Rights. And so, because we wanted to make sure that the Bill of Rights really addressed and spoke to the needs of domestic workers, we had a statewide convention, very much like this one. And we brought together hundreds of domestic workers, had interpretation in 7 different languages so we could communicate with each other. And at our tables, we talked about what it would look and feel like to have respect at work. And we came up with a list of 47 different ideas, narrowed them down, and wrote it into legislation. And for 6 years, we marched, held vigils, lobbied, until finally in 2010, New York became the first state in the nation to pass a domestic workers' Bill of Rights. And this victory inspired domestic workers around the country to dream bigger. And halfway through our campaign, we began connecting with domestic workers around the country, including from right here in Washington State, from Casa Latina in Seattle. And together we launched the National Domestic Workers Alliance. But it didn't take long for us to realize that the devaluing of domestic work is part of a much bigger problem that we have in this country. We in the US don't value care. As a country, we haven't invested in caregiving systems and policies and a workforce to support us to care for the people that we love, from childcare to paid family and medical leave, to aging and disability care. How many of you here are caring for a loved one now? I bet there's more than that. How many of you have ever cared for a young child, a sick or an aging or a disabled loved one? Okay. So you know that you are not alone. This week, the RAND Corporation released new data that said that there are 105 million caregivers in the US today, mostly women. And there are 9 million underpaid professional care workers working across child care and direct care, including a disproportionate number of AA and NHPI women. 1 in 5 AAPI working class women work in the care economy. Most of us are caregiving without support or going into debt to try to afford childcare or home care, making impossible choices between working to pay the bills or caring for our loved ones, and we're doing it all on our own. Social scientist Jessica Calarco describes it by saying, other countries have a safety net and the US has women. Our care problem is now a care crisis as the baby boom generation ages and more people live longer. We are a nation that needs more care than ever before. 10,000 babies are born every day. 10,000 of us turn 65. And that's why in 2011, my colleague Sarita Gupta and I co-founded Caring Across Generations to bring workers and families together to usher in a new era of care. And what we learned is that there actually are places in America that value care and that have begun to invest in care programs for families and for workers. And one of those places is the state of Washington. Woo! Yes, it is something to celebrate. Washington has a statewide paid family medical leave program. Washington has invested in the home care workforce thanks to the power of the union SEIU Local 775. Whoever is wooing, I love it. Thank you. The Washington State Home Care Training Fund trains 40,000 home care workers per year in 12 different languages. Wages for home care workers in this state start at $17 per hour, and the national average is $13. And now that's not all. Listen to this. Washington State is the first state in the country to establish a long-term care benefit.
Yeah!
It's called Washington Cares, or WaCares, and it's designed to help more middle-class families afford essential care. WaCares means that working people won't lose their jobs or go bankrupt caring for themselves and their loved ones. And this program has already inspired states like California, Massachusetts, and Minnesota to consider creating long-term care funds of their own. Washington is proving that it is possible to build a care infrastructure in America. And I just want to tell you that there is a movement all over this country that is growing of parents, of caregivers, of grandparents, of people with disabilities, older adults, young people coming together to say that we want care in America. And some of our biggest champions are from Washington State.
Yeah!
Senator Patty Murray, Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal are leading the way nationally in Congress to make sure that we have a future where we can take care of the people we love. And I'll tell you, this movement is winning. Not only are we building power, but we are winning. President Biden and Vice President Harris put care at the center of their economic agenda for the first time in history. We have an administration that knows how essential care is to a thriving economy. Change is coming. But we have to protect our victories too, and care is also under attack. There are some interests that want to take us backwards. There's a ballot initiative called Initiative 2124 that we must stop so that we can keep our care. And that is the beauty and the challenge of our democracy. Our system of democracy, making it better and keeping it healthy relies upon us. If we don't engage, we can't make progress. And progress that we've made can be rolled back at any given moment if we are not engaged. And the system itself can stop working because we and our participation is what gives it life. Democracy is a living, breathing being, and we give it life through our participation. Our role is both a responsibility and a necessity. As AAPI communities, we have a very special role. We are the fastest growing segment of the electorate in the entire country, and our economies are often overlooked and underestimated. But we know the power of our community. It was Filipinas who led the way to build the domestic workers movement in New York, and South Asian women, and women from Nepal. And we know how to solve problems. We're not afraid to do the work, and we know how to lead. If we do everything we can to get our community out to vote this year and to protect essential programs like WaCares, we can not only help democracy live on, but we can build the caregiving systems we need in this country. We can make childcare more affordable. We can make senior and disability care accessible in the home and community to everyone who needs it. And that is the work of democracy, harnessing our power as people and as communities to solve problems and make our systems work better for generations to come. And if we don't stay on top of it, we go backwards. And I know all of us in this room are going to stay on top of it. We're going to do our part, am I right?
Yeah!
Just think, we could be the ones to build the care systems that our families and future generations need and deserve in this country. What a beautiful legacy that would be. So let's go do it. Let's make our grandparents proud. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Ai-jen. Another round of applause, please. Ai-jen Pu. Let's make our grandparents proud, okay? Let's make them proud. All right, we are at the point in our program where we are going to hear from our two gubernatorial candidates. It's a chance to hear from them for at least the next 30 minutes or so. It's really wonderful that they were able to take the time to be here with us, but that just speaks to the importance of the AA and HPI community to the conversation. What do we want to see in our state, in our communities? And here are the gentlemen who would like to be giving you the answers to those questions. I'm going to have them come up and join us on stage, and we're going to go over some of the, okay, I'm going to change podiums, excuse me. Okay, oh, this is the mic with the feedback. Hello?
Hey, Richard, that's in the back. Get her a different mic. She should be good.
Okay. Oh, much better, much better. Yeah, we're having feedback issues there. Okay. You have in your programs descriptions of the candidates for governor who are joining us on stage. Please, a round of applause and a... Okay. Okay. I don't know what's causing that. Is it these... One, two, three, 1, 2, 3. I think, please don't feedback on me. Thank you. All right, if everyone could please take a seat and listen in rapt attention, because these are the gentlemen you want to hear from today. We are very pleased to hear from the two candidates for Washington State Governor in alphabetical order. Bob Ferguson, representing the Democratic Party, and David Reichert, representing the Republican Party. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us here today at the 2024 APIC Democracy Summit. We'll have about 30 minutes to hear a little bit more about where you stand on certain issues. We will start with each candidate giving a 2-minute opening statement, where they will name their top 3 priorities as Washington State Governor. I will be keeping time, and I will give you a 30-second warning when your 2 minutes are drawing to a close. Then, we will make sure to alternate. That will be followed by 3 questions, and we will be alternating who answers first in those 3 questions. Answering the questions, you have 2 minutes, so it's very quick, it's very succinct, but I know for you two gentlemen, it's no problem. So, again, we're very happy for you both being here. Okay, audience, behave. You've been wonderful and very patient. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to get my stopwatch ready. Okay. Going. All right.
He's going to switch your microphone out 1 second.
Okay.
And if the candidates can get close to the mics when they talk, that'd be helpful. Thank you.
Okay, and if you start talking, candidates, and if you get weird feedback, I won't take it off your time. We will fix the problem and restart the clock. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, at this time, we will ask the candidates to go ahead and give a 2-minute opening statement. And in that statement, naming their top 3 priorities as state governor. We will start with Bob Ferguson. Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for being here and giving myself and Congressman Reichert the chance to share our vision for the future of the state of Washington. I really appreciate this opportunity. Look, Washington State is facing many challenges. We'll talk about those today, I'm sure. What we need in a governor is someone who's a change agent, who's going to change the culture of state government, to center your voices, take on those challenges, while at the same time defending the core freedoms that Washingtonians value here in our state. I've been to all 39 counties as I campaign across the state. My campaign is the only campaign that takes no donations from large corporations or corporate PACs. We center your voice.
Okay, I'm stopping the clock. Can we
no problem.
Address the microphone situation here?
Go ahead and continue. We'll keep
Could you just bring your microphone just a skosh down, lower, sort of facing your throat, and speak over the top of it?
Kind of like that, maybe?
That might be.
Is that a little better?
Okay.
Do you want me to give it a try?
How's his microphone now?
Go for it.
And Congressman Reichert, can you lower your mic just a skosh? Okay.
Testing.
Not for yet.
Not too good.
That's all right. We'll work.
Stopwatch has stopped.
You bet. No problem.
Okay.
Do you want me to give this another try? It sounds a little better right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We'll try it again.
We'll try it again.
But thank you. So I think I was mentioning I'm the only candidate who does not accept political donations from large corporations or corporate PACs. Why? Because I center your voices in the decisions I make as Attorney General and as your next governor. I'm proud to have a broad coalition of endorsements from across the state, including APIC, the Asian Pacific Islander Americans for Civic Empowerment. They know I center your voices in my work as Attorney General. I think you asked for 3 top priorities. I'll mention them briefly now. Number 1, top priority, public safety. The first plan I put on my website was on public safety. Washington State ranks last per capita for number of law enforcement officers we have. We need to change that. And I'll put $100 million into my first budget so local jurisdictions can attract more law enforcement officers to their communities. Housing. We have a housing crisis across our state. Housing of all kinds, we need more construction. We'll talk more about that. Third, education, increase in our investments in education and workforce training. I'm the son of a public school teacher and a career-going employee. It's an honor to be here today, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
All right, Congressman Reichert.
Ready?
Okay, and I'm going to ask again the audience, please listen and don't talk to each other. Thank you. Go ahead, Congressman.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here today. I would ask you all to just take a moment and think about your personal lives and where you are today. Where you are today is a result of the choices that you made in your life and the choices that your mother and father, your aunts and uncles, your cousins made in your life, teachers and bosses, fellow employees making decisions together about your life. You are probably somewhere in your life where you never thought you would be. I am running as governor of Washington State, growing up in the Renton Highlands in an 800 square foot home with 9 people. And here I am today asking you to vote for me as governor. You know my career. After leaving Renton Highlands, I graduated from Kent Meridian High School, and I went on to be the first elected sheriff in 30 years in Kane County, the largest sheriff's office in the state of Washington, 12th largest across the country. That's my number 1 priority, is the criminal justice system. I went on to Congress, and I worked in Congress as a trade chairman, the tax chairman, the human resources chairman of the Ways and Means Committee. My number 2 priority is the economy. Well, actually, they're combined together, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later also. Economy, crime, homelessness, education. So I named actually 4, and I don't see those being separated at all. They're actually intertwined together. When we pull on one strand, we affect the economy, we affect the criminal justice system. I'm happy to be with you here today. Appreciate your kind attention, and I hope you have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that was a little better, audience, but I'm going to ask staff and organizers to kind of monitor the back of that room because there's still a lot of people talking back there, and it's really disrespectful. We can hear you up here, so don't pretend you're not talking. Okay? Thank you very much for those comments, gentlemen. Our first question, and we will start with Congressman Reichert this time. According to the Office of Financial Management, Washington State is home to over 800,000 Asian Americans, over 70,000 Native Hawaiians and Pacific Islanders. Many of these members make use of important social services and government programs to take care of themselves and their families. As governor, how would you enhance or create programs important to the AA and HPI community, especially when it comes to jobs, pay equity, and affordable housing? Congressman Reichert.
That question, thank you again for being here. As the sheriff of King County, I had the opportunity to work with quite a diverse group of people in King County as the 12th largest sheriff's office in the country. And in fact, made sure that we hired people that represented our diverse community in the sheriff's office. One of the things that I am proud of as working in the sheriff's office was hiring, I don't know if you knew this or not, but back during the W2O era, hired 25 officers from Honolulu who wanted to move to Washington State. We were proud to have them as a part of the King County Sheriff's Office. We had a very diverse command staff, also picking and choosing the best people, and also those that represented our community. I am really interested, though, in talking to each and every one of you, because I think we need to have a government that's inclusive, where we can talk to each other about the rising cost of homes and what's causing those rising costs. Number one is the gas prices here in Washington State that we pay increases the price of everything that we buy. The zoning laws in this state need to be changed so that you can build buildings easier. Those permitting laws need to be streamlined in Washington State so you can get a permit to build or add on to your building. Those regulations that are so burdensome on businesses, small businesses across this state, need to be revamped. We also need to take a look at not only the rezoning, the revamping of permitting, but we also have to make sure that we can provide some tax incentives so that we can build low-income housing for those people who are homeless, who have a job, who can't afford a home. Those are the things that we need to do to work together. And what I look forward to doing is sitting down with all of you and coming up with a solution to the problems that we face here, not only in the economy, but across the state as we look at the rest of the problems that we had mentioned earlier. Thank you for your attention.
Very much, very good wrap. Mr. Ferguson, same question.
Thank you very much. And I appreciate the question mentioning the importance of social services. Before I got into politics, I actually spent a year directing and running an emergency services office, working in a diverse community and helping folks out with a whole range of social services. And that's important to make sure as a state we're investing in that. What's also important, I think that gets to the issues in your question, is making sure we're getting the voices of all Washingtonians and diverse communities in making our decisions. Let me give you an example of that. As Attorney General, I realize we as a state have all these task forces that the legislature and the governor ask Washingtonians to serve on. Those task forces are important. They give guidance to the legislature who makes big policy that impact your lives. Well, guess what? Who's got time to take an entire day off from work to go serve on the task force? You're busy, you've got jobs. only a small slice of our population can do that. I propose legislation that said we compensate people who serve on those task forces. So you can take some time away from your job or away from other obligations and serve on that task force and influence that policy. We're bringing more voices to the table, and that's important. And I've done that as your Attorney General. Before I was Attorney General, if you called our office with a civil rights complaint, and you know the attacks on Asian Americans have only gone up in recent years. We've seen that in the Seattle Times article that was published just this week. I created a civil rights division in my office, named after Ling Loop, first Asian American elected to political office in the Pacific Northwest. That civil rights division advocates for all Washingtonians, diverse communities, and does tremendous work on behalf of all Washingtonians all across state. And that's what I'm referring to in the point of centering Washingtonians in decisions we make, and that'll be my priority as your next governor.
You have 20 seconds more. 20 seconds more? Okay, that's fine. Question number 2. Many people in Washington State have health insurance, thankfully. Washington State, in fact, has some of the highest health insurance coverage rates in the country. However, there are still those without insurance who still struggle with affordability. Affordability and language access continue to be barriers to coverage for many Asians, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders in Washington State. How would you, as governor, work to improve healthcare access, affordability, and cultural and linguistic access for all Washingtonians? Mr. Ferguson.
Well, this is a critical issue for Washingtonians. So first thing we can do is increase the reimbursement rate we have for Apple Health, which serves individuals who need it. That will increase the number of providers who serve those individuals, and that will increase access to care. And this has been a priority in my time as Attorney General. Take the Affordable Care Act. If you have a pre-existing condition, if you're one of hundreds of thousands of Washingtonians with a pre-existing condition, the Affordable Care Act provides you coverage. I defended the Affordable Care Act in court when there was a challenge brought by Republican attorneys general. Look, my opponent voted dozens of times in Congress to repeal the Affordable Care Act. That would strip away those protections. I worked as Attorney General to defend it and make sure you have those protections. Also, as Attorney General, one thing we know is more and more we see mergers of healthcare entities that limit competition and limit access for you. My team has taken on those anti-competitive mergers and won in court to increase access to healthcare all across the state. One more thing I'll mention if I've got a few more seconds, which is I proposed a law that passed the state legislature in a bipartisan fashion, which increased by literally millions of Washingtonians who can get health care, or low-income Washingtonians get health care without paying for that health care. Before that law that I proposed, the number of individuals who could access that health care was very, very limited. We changed that, proposed a law that increases by literally millions of Washingtonians access to free or reduced cost to affordable health care right here in Washington State. So this is critical for Washingtonians. We need a governor who defends the Affordable Care Act, who fights for your access to health care all across the state. I've done that as your Attorney General, and I'll do that as your governor as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Congressman Reichert.
Well, thank you. I think we can fight for each other and our affordable health care in many different ways. My wife and I recently had to search for a new doctor because our doctor retired. It took us almost 6-7 months to find someone that would actually accept new patients. So I think there's a shortage of medical professionals in our community. And one of the ways that we can address that is by providing early education to our young people in middle school and high school, maybe a Running Start program for young people who are interested in the medical profession, whether it's mental health or other fields in the medical profession. I also think that we can really improve our connection to our medical professional through the improvements in telemedication and having that ability to speak with our doctors and our healthcare providers through our technology that's provided to us today. The other thing that we need to do is to make sure that especially for the elderly in our community, make sure that we have people who can interpret and communicate clearly with our elderly and their medical professional. Another problem that you may or may not be aware of is that there is a shortage of hospital beds in Washington State, a big shortage. And there's also a backup in our emergency rooms. So working together, we can address those shortages, and I think we need to take a real close look at the public-private partnerships. I've talked to many of the major CEOs here in Washington State, and they are ready to get involved in helping build more hospitals, provide more hospital beds, and also provide education for our young people to go into the healthcare world. Also, I would like to say that one of the things that we can do to help families out is to remove the sales tax from baby essentials. So diapers and baby food and those things. Let's get rid of the sales tax and help those families out.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, you're doing great. Thank you so much. Question number 3. This is our final question before final statements. Congressman Reichert will go first. The Environmental Protection Agency reports that harm to the environment and climate change have a disproportionately harmful effect on Asian, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. This includes a higher likelihood of living in areas with poor air quality, higher exposure to extreme temperatures during work and daily life, and higher risk of exposure to coastal and inland flooding. This means that protecting the environment and combating climate change are high priorities for our communities. As governor, what are your plans for protecting the environment and combating climate change? Congressman Reichert.
Thank you. Well, I think everyone in this room, and as I speak to people across the state, it doesn't matter what group I talk to, I ask them, hey, how many in here want to make sure our water is clean for our children? Every hand goes up. How many want to make sure that our air is clean for our children and our grandchildren? I have 6 great-grandchildren, well, 5 great-grandchildren, and 1 on the way, thank you. How many want to make sure that our forests are protected? And how many want to make sure that our wildlife is protected, our salmon runs are protected? We all do. We want to make sure that Washington State stays clean, green, and pristine. But we can't set arbitrary dates to make this happen. We have to transition into the future, clean energy fuel of the future. And we have some energy right now being developed. Small modular nuclear, for example, is a clean energy resource for us that we could use. I am a person who wants to look at all of the above energy as we transition into the new technology of tomorrow. Make sure that we have a clean, green, pristine Washington State. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you. So there is a pretty big contrast on this issue. So I appreciate, Congressman, what you said about clean, green, and pristine, but guess what? As elected officials, we have to make important decisions. And there's a big issue right now before our state related to climate specifically. There's a law that requires big corporations that pollute our environment to pay hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. And the state's using that money to go to exactly your question, to address the climate crisis and create good paying jobs all across the state for those projects. There's just one problem. My opponent does not support that law, and I do support that law. We have a big transition to a clean energy economy. I support that, he does not, and that's important for issues related to climate. I'll also add that I'm proud to be the only candidate endorsed by environmental organizations who care deeply about this issue. Sierra Club, Washington Conservation Action. They endorse me because they know this is a priority for me and my term as governor. And I've demonstrated that as your Attorney General. I created an environmental enforcement division in my office. So if there's polluters out there, guess what? My team holds them accountable, makes them pay hundreds of millions of dollars that the state can now use to keep Washington State clean, green, and pristine. But that requires leadership, not just talk. It requires actual leadership, holding entities accountable, making sure we're defending laws that keep our environment helpful for all Washingtonians. One more thing I'll say.
30 seconds.
One more thing I just want to add in my last 30 seconds is that law also provides for what's called a working families tax credit. That's dollars back in the pockets for hundreds of thousands of Washingtonians. I support that. We'll increase the amount of the funds going to that working families tax credit to help Washingtonians who are struggling with this economy. The state should be making sure we're putting dollars back in your pockets when folks are struggling. Thank you.
You will now have 2 minutes for a closing statement. In that closing statement, it would be wonderful if you will include how you would work to build relationships and further engage the AANHPI community, but it's your choice. 2 minutes, and I will give you a 30-second cue as well. We will start with Bob Ferguson.
Thank you so much, and thanks again for moderating to all of you as well. I appreciate the chance to chat with each and every one of you and all the work we've done together in my 12 years as Attorney General. It's a great question to end on, right? How to make sure that we're working together on the challenges we're facing. And a governor has broad powers, and where I see the partnership really extending as governor, as a couple examples, is a few. Number one, a governor proposes a budget. It's a huge document that impacts our lives. I'll make sure as a governor that I'm working with you and this community and communities all across the state to make sure it's a budget that prioritizes you. I said at the beginning, I'm the only candidate who does not accept any political donations from large corporations or corporate PACs. That's not the easy way to raise the money I need to run a campaign, but I do it because we now have 100,000 Washingtonians who have donated to my campaign. It's a massive grassroots army all across the state because I'm centering your voices in decisions we make. And as governor, I'll make sure you have a seat at the table for critical decisions the state's making. As an example, the governor often makes appointments to boards and commissions that make huge decisions on our lives. I'll make sure you have a seat at the table to make sure your voice is heard for those important boards and commissions. And that extends to other areas as well. Our judicial system. Governor Inslee, I believe, has made literally a couple hundred appointments to our judiciary. Vacancies that come up, and the governor makes the appointment of what judge rules on cases of all range of issues facing our state. I'll make sure we have a bench, judges who reflect the broad diversity of our state. Lastly, thank you. Lastly, I should mention that I've been married to my wife, Colleen, for many years. She's an educator. She works at a community college. We're proud parents of 16-year-old twins, Jack and Katie. It's an honor to be here and see so many familiar faces and look forward to working with you as your next governor. Thank you very much.
And Congressman Radford.
It's 2 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay. First of all, I'm a little bit surprised because I was told this was going to be a forum, not a debate. My opponent has mentioned my name at least 2 or 3 times and told some fibs. So I want to address just a couple of those, sadly. First of all, my opponent has accepted PAC money, and I know that because one of the PAC folks who visited with him first came to my office and said, we offered Bob Ferguson a PAC check, but he wouldn't take it. But what he told us to do was to give it to the Democrat state party, and then they would forward the check to him. That's dishonest, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what's happened to our government over the past 12 years. We've been deceived. We know that a gas tax did not cost us pennies. They cost us 50 cents a gallon. And every time we pay that gas tax, diapers go up, bread goes up, milk goes up, cost goes higher and higher. We have got to put the pause button on that gas tax. We can protect the environment at the same time. Now, I'll tell you, I want to be your governor, and I'm going to be honest with you, and we are going to work together. We're going to make this a partnership where you and I sit down together. Let me share a quick story for you. You might remember this. There was a Special Olympian training hard for his event. He got up to the starting line. The starting gun went off. He ran a few steps, tripped and fell. The rest of the people in the race stopped. And you know what they did? They turned around, they came back, and they picked that special friend up. And they arm in arm walked across the finish line. Ladies and gentlemen, we all win when one wins. We all win. When we work together, we all win. Thank you and God bless you.
I'm inclined to give 1 minute to Bob Ferguson to respond to the Congressman and then an additional minute to respond again.
Well, I don't mind that he went over his time. It's no problem. Thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, very much for your time today. That concludes our candidates forum for today. We'd like to thank both gentlemen for making time to visit with us at our event. And we'd like to thank the audience for being very attentive. Thank you very much. And I apologize, the noise initially, the audience noise were our interpreters interpreting what was going on with their constituents. So I think they kind of managed to do their interpreting, but in a lower volume. So thank you very much for cooperating. It allowed all of us to hear better. Thank you. Again, Election Day is November 5th. You will receive your ballots in the mail if you are registered about 2 weeks before the election. If you haven't already registered, you can do so online or by mail by October 28th. You can go up to any table here that has a voter registration sign and someone can help you get registered here. If you are not eligible to vote in this election, you can still stay engaged in your community by getting involved with your local organizations, get a little bit more active with APIC. You know, there are representatives throughout the room from all different parts of the state. So get to know who your APIC people are and, you know, learn more about the state. This was very enlightening to hear from the candidates about their priorities and how they have your interests at heart. Okay, are we ready for some entertainment now? Okay. Phew. All right. We have some entertainment for you now. Vaipuli is a Tongan group. So this is a great time for you to stretch your legs and get with the rhythms and get with the wonderful cultural beats of our next performers. Please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Vaipuli.
Just pull it all off. Stand by for just a second, ladies, while we get the podium out of the way. This is an hour, right?
Restart? That does.
applause for Bipolar Entertainment. Love the audience participation. That's the kind of party we want. Okay, last call for this wonderful cell phone up here. If you're missing this cell phone, come see the staff in the purple shirt on that side of the building. Okay? Beautiful cell phone. If you know the brand, it's yours. It has a fingerprint access, so if your fingerprint doesn't match, you won't open it anyway. We've been trying desperately to reach whoever owns that phone. We are really fortunate to have our next speaker from the Defend Washington Coalition to speak about some upcoming ballot initiatives. I don't know about you, but I've seen several ads on TV about these people talking about initiatives on the ballot, and there are several. So we are very happy to have with us a strong advocate for awareness about these ballot issues. These ballot issues concern climate change, long-term care, and a fair tax code. The Asian and Pacific Islander Coalition has endorsed and supported Defend Washington's advocacy around these ballot initiatives. Here to tell us more about them, Calvin Jones of Defend Washington. Give him a hand.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction, and what a hard act to follow, so thank you to all the amazing performers here today. As was mentioned, my name is Calvin Jones. I am the Outreach Director for the Defend Washington campaign. Thank you. And the Defend Washington campaign is the coalition of organizations advocating for folks to vote no on 4 statewide ballot initiatives that will be on the November ballot. They are Initiative 2117 that would repeal the Climate Commitment Act, Initiative 2124 that would dismantle Washington's long-term care insurance program, Initiative 2109 would repeal the capital gains tax, and Initiative 2066 would take away some common sense planning laws. We can't talk about the initiatives without talking about the money behind them. This man on your screen, his name is Brian Haywood. He is a hedge fund manager who moved here from California to benefit from our unfortunately regressive tax system. And he spent $6 million of his own money to get these initiatives on the ballot. And in summary, we need to vote no on all of them because they are good for him, they are good for wealthy corporations, but they are bad for the rest of us. The first initiative I want to talk about is Initiative 2117 that would repeal something called the Climate Commitment Act. This is the program that requires large corporate polluters like Chevron, Marathon Petroleum, British Petroleum to pay for the costs of the pollution that they create. If Initiative 2117 were to pass and these large corporate polluters were allowed to pollute for free, fundamentally what we would see in Washington state is more pollution, meaning more kids with asthma, more pollution in our waterways, more devastated farmland, and devastating cuts to clean energy and transportation programs statewide. Over 1/3 of our state's transportation budget comes from the Climate Commitment Act that would be repealed by this initiative. So this initiative would cause longer commutes and more traffic throughout the state. The next initiative I want to talk about, that we heard from Ai-jen Boo as well, is Initiative 2124 that would dismantle Washington's long-term care insurance program. Today, the program called Washington Cares is on track to make 4 million Washingtonians eligible for a $36,000 lifetime benefit for things like wheelchairs, ramps in your home, in-home care, things that allow Washingtonians to live in their homes longer with more independence and with more dignity. The program also allows those who care for their friends and loved ones to be paid for the care that they give, so that we are not asked to quit our jobs and take a financial hit if we need to take care of someone that we love. Initiative 2124 would financially bankrupt that program, and it would hurt women the most. We know we live in a patriarchal society where women are expected to provide unpaid care for their friends and loved ones. So if Initiative 2124 passes and 3.9 million Washingtonians lose their benefit, it is the women of Washington that are going to have to pick up the bill. Initiative 2109 would repeal Washington State's capital gains tax. This is a tax that is only paid by 0.2% of Washington taxpayers. Only 2 out of 1,000 people pay even 1 penny towards this tax. But last year it raised $890 million for childcare and public education. Passing Initiative 2109 would give just 4,000 people in Washington a tax cut, but cut $2.2 billion from childcare and public education budgets in Washington over the next 5 years. And finally, Initiative 2066 would repeal some common sense planning laws that allow Washington state utilities to invest in cleaner, cheaper infrastructure to provide utility services that we all need. And by taking away these planning laws, it would force our utilities to invest in outdated and more expensive technologies, raising rates for everyone. It would also make illegal programs that help low and middle income families invest in clean energy infrastructure for their own homes by, for example, by helping them buy a heat pump to heat their home at cheaper rates with a lower carbon footprint. And Initiative 2066 would take all that away. So in summary, we should vote no on all 4 initiatives because they are good for Brian Haywood, they are bad for the rest of us, and they take away environmental protections, healthcare, and education funding that our state desperately needs to thrive moving forward. Thank you for having me today.
Well, that was a quick summary there. Wow. Okay. Defend Washington has just kind of been a very good resource for the community, and APIC has been a very strong advocate for and against different kinds of initiatives in Olympia. So if you want to mark your calendars for 2025, APIC has Legislative Day in February where you all can go en masse to Olympia and meet your legislators, talk about issues, talk about policies, talk about specific bills if you want. And it's a wonderful opportunity to kind of show your face and have them hear your voice. So you can get organized and find out more through your APIC representatives. Now we're going to hear from our former governor, Governor Gary Locke. He was the first Asian American governor elected in the continental United States and was our state's governor for 8 years before becoming Secretary of Commerce in President Obama's cabinet and then the ambassador to China. Please draw your attention to the screens. Governor Locke.
Hi, I'm Gary Locke, former governor of the state of Washington.
Thank you much, Calvin, for all of the information on our initiatives, and thank you, Governor Locke, for that message. We would like to entertain you more with our next group, OKK Taiko. Taiko, for those of you who may not be familiar, is the traditional drumming from Japan, and this particular group is an Okinawan Taiko group, Okinawa being a part of Japan, but at one time in history, Okinawa was its own kingdom. And so please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, OKK Taiko.
Iya
Austin?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. But they're awesome, right? Okay, we'll now hear from Tia Mua. Tia Mua is Community Engagement Organizer at Asians for Collective Liberation, Spokane. Tia is a proud Hmong American who has been involved with the Asian and Pacific Islander Coalition since she was a teenager and was a youth speaker at the Democracy Summit 8 years ago. So she's not that much older. We love it. She now continues her work as a community leader, mobilizing Asian communities in the Spokane area. We are so excited to welcome Tia to share her story and speak about the importance of voting and being civically engaged. Put it together, Tia Mua.
Yeah.
Yajong Kulumbeya Tia Mua. Hello, my name is Tia Mua, and I'm the Community Engagement Organizer for Asians for Collective Liberation in Spokane. My journey with APIC started 8 years ago when I was invited to speak on this stage as the youth guest speaker for the APIC Democracy Summit in 2016. I was so inspired by that experience and this amazing summit that I felt the desire to continue with civic engagement work to this day. Fast forward 3 years after that first summit I attended in 2019, and I reconnected with APIC Spokane as a College Equity Ambassador intern, which we rebranded to Asians for Collective Liberation to disaggregate and acknowledge the differences between our Asian and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander cultures, community needs, histories, and languages. My identities of being a queer Hmong American woman play a huge role in why I do what I do, which is advocating for marginalized communities and creating events that build belonging. During COVID-19, I was horrified by the increase of anti-Asian hate that was rampant among our community, especially here in Washington State. It was just horrible to see it across the country, but especially here in Washington. And this was due to the racist language and scapegoating from politicians and leaders blaming Asians for the COVID-19 virus. I heard from many Asian students on my campus that they felt anxious, unsafe, hypervigilant, and some even sadly were racially harassed or attacked simply for being Asian. I decided it was necessary to create a safe space for other Asians and Asian Americans on Gonzaga University's campus. I formed the Asian American Activist Group my junior year of college and started hosting weekly meetings to connect with other Asian students, as well as to advocate for more diversity, equity, and inclusion through the curriculum, through faculty and staff hiring practices, and through increasing support for our Asian language programs. I believe that my experience with APIC and ACL Spokane currently gave me the leadership skills and resources I needed in order to advocate and organize effectively on campus and in our larger Spokane community. So why am I still working for this organization and doing this advocacy work 8 years later? I love the sense of purpose and belonging that I feel when I get to engage in our Asian American communities, when I get to understand the needs more and barriers of our Asian communities from being able to fully participate in civic engagement. I also get inspired by the incredible Asian and Pacifica community activists I see across our state mobilizing people for collective change. When I hear about what other Asian and Pacifica leaders in Washington are doing to advocate, especially those here in APIC and ACRS, it inspires me so much and motivates me to keep going, especially on the hard days. My first in-person Asian and Native Hawaiian and Pacific Islander Lobby Day in Olympia was this February, and I felt so inspired seeing the hundreds of people that flooded the room, all of the many buses that people took from all over the state to advocate for the needs of our Asian and Pacifica communities. I left feeling so inspired, learning from the strength and wisdom of elders and seeing how strategic they were at mobilizing our communities to show up and make our voices heard at the Capitol. I felt so grateful for the guidance and the guidance from other community leaders from APIC, which has helped me to grow as a leader and an advocate. As Michael mentioned earlier, APIC was formed after the Welfare Reform Act left gaps in our communities. APIC saw these gaps and realized we need to address the lack of social services and lack of language access for our communities. To this day, we need to speak up and vote to shift the systems of power that create structural barriers and structural inequalities and lead to gaps in our communities. Being passive doesn't get us anywhere. We must show up and advocate for our needs and show that we are a political force to be reckoned with. In 2021, the Pew Research Center reported that a majority of eligible voters said they received a campaign contact before the 2020 election, but the Latina and Asian communities were the least likely to be contacted by a campaign. This is likely linked to language barriers, due to the lack of language access and other systemic barriers that prevent Asians from being fully able to participate in our democracy. As Asians, we're often stereotyped as the model minority, as many of you have probably seen and experienced and heard. And it's a very frustrating stereotype because it is a stereotype that says that we're all quiet, obedient, apolitical, law-abiding people who don't want to rock the boat and instead want to just keep our heads down. But take a moment and look around you. Maybe say hi to the neighbor, wave to them. Look around. The hundreds of people who came here to this summit today, it's just a testament to showing how powerful and how political we are as Asians and Pacific Islanders. As we gear up for this pivotal moment in our democracy, we must educate ourselves on the initiatives and vote no on the 4 initiatives this November. We must rally together to ensure every voice is heard. Vote for your friends, vote for your loved ones, vote for those who aren't eligible to vote, and vote for our future. We are all depending on you. We're all dependent on each other. If we want to create a more inclusive democracy that represents the diverse needs of its people, we must empower young voters. Young voters have the power to decide our upcoming elections. Voters ages 18 to 34 will make up over 40 million potential voters in 2024, nearly 1/5 of the American electorate. Young voters' diversity, fresh perspectives, and status as the future leaders of our nation make their voices critical in shaping our nation's future. Let's commit to empowering young Asian and Pacifica voters. We have the power to make collective change when we continue to stand strong together, when we continue to speak up about our needs and develop creative and inclusive solutions together. Together, we are a force to be reckoned with. Let's use our collective power and build stronger communities through our voting power. Thank yourselves for being here, for being politically active and engaged. And this is just the beginning. Let's sustain this momentum and keep on training the youth to step up and take on leadership roles so we can continue to grow and improve as a community through new and diverse ideas. I want to finish off with a quote from Grace Lee Boggs. She said, "You cannot change any society unless you take responsibility for it, unless you see yourself as belonging to it and responsible for changing it." Let's take responsibility for our communities by showing up to vote this election on November 5th. Thank you.
To you to stay here because, first of all, I want to take a selfie with her. And second, she made me so happy and so proud because this is what we're working for, the next generation of leaders, right, Sharon Tamiko Santos? Thank you all, and thank you, Tia, for all you do. At this time, I'm going to have our drum corps come on up, and while they're getting ready, don't you get up yet. Don't you get up yet. Okay, this is the kind of like the wrap up of our program, but you cannot miss this entertainment, and I have a few housekeeping items. 1, don't forget to vote November 5th. 2, if you came here on a bus, you will meet your bus where they drop you off. Do not get on the wrong bus. I don't have to tell you that, but it's on the script. And a big thank you to sponsors, to people who showed up, our elected officials, our organizers, the Tacoma Dome and staff, and for all of you who took the time to celebrate the fact that, yes, we live in a democracy and we are here to protect it with all our might. Thank you so much for coming. This group behind me, awesome group. You're gonna bust your eardrums out. Oh no. Please put your hands together for Hilltop Heritage Drumline.
Yeah! Woo! Woo! Thank you, Hilltop.
Ông áo à.